All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody's doing well. Again, my name is Diallo, and we're doing current events today on this beautiful Monday, September 27th, 2001. Now, who would have thunk it, huh? 2001? Like for me, I remember I was in high school like it was yesterday. I don't remember when I was born, though. Some people say they do, I don't. Can't do it. But today, we are going to read out of the East Bay Times. We're going to listen to I'm going to read some upbeat activities that have gone on over the weekend, which was a beautiful weekend. Cloudy in San Francisco, but sunny everywhere else. Beautiful. And my weekend was good. I went to an aquarium. I went to Sequest Aquarium in Folsom, California. I got to pet some fish, feed some stingrays. I got to feed a turtle, and the turtle was 85 years old, a tortoise, which is, for a tortoise, apparently tortoises can live till they're 150. So they've seen a lot. They have seen an absolute lot. So we're going to read a little bit out of here. And let's see what we got in our lovely paper. We're going to read some of my favorite, which is the Ask Amy and Miss Manners. So we're going to start with Miss Manners. And this is a segment of the paper where people have ideas that they want to get across. So they send a letter to Miss Manners asking a question, and Miss Manners answers that question in the best that she can. So we have Miss Manners. Her actual name is Judith Martin. And this one's titled Managing Dinner Time Phone Calls. So we all know how that goes, right? As soon as we sit down to dinner, what happens? The phone rings. It's usually a telemarketer because they know you're sitting down for dinner. So again, dear Miss Manners, does no one observe dinner hours anymore? My dear grandmother, the etiquette expert of my family, instructed me at an early age that it was impolite to call in between the hours of 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. unless the matter was urgent, because it was assumed that most families ate dinner during that time. Most families do. I ate dinner during that time. I understand that times have changed, not necessarily for the better, in my opinion, and many people don't cook or eat at home on a regular basis. Not that it matters. The advent of the cell phone has made it possible to interrupt someone's dinner whenever they have it on them. Neither my family nor my circle of close friends is large, but I can't tell you the last time I prepared and consumed a meal without my phone ringing at least once. I don't answer, but will contact the caller when dinner is over and the cleanup has been completed. My husband agrees with me on this, and he doesn't answer his phone during dinner time either, although his phone rings a lot more than mine. My adult children know better than to challenge me on the subject, but a couple of my friends have taken umbrage with my choice. According to them, the correct procedure is to answer the phone immediately, tell the caller you're having dinner, and assure them that you'll call them back as soon as you are finished. Confident that you will side with me, I have agreed to abide by your say on this matter, and so have two of my disgruntled friends. So this is going to be interesting. So the person who sent this letter is basically saying she's going to agree with what Miss Manners says either way, whether she should pick up the phone during dinner or hang it up, not pick it up at all. What do you think? You think during dinner time it's good to pick up the phone?
No.
No? I agree with that. You can. You definitely can. But the old school way, like my grandpa, and every time we sat down for dinner at like 5, 6 o'clock, the phone would start ringing. And he'd be very upset to the point where he just took it off the hook. So let's see what Miss Manners has to say. Dear gentle reader, if Miss Manners allows you to triumph over your friends and also offer a simple solution to your problem, will you tolerate her sounding off a bit? This is prompted by that remark you tossed off about change. Deploring change is thought to be one of etiquette's basic activities. Nonsense. Its very interest in tradition means that it knows what sort of appalling customs have been practiced throughout history, many of which we are lucky to be rid of. But there are also valuable innovations. It is Miss Manners' job to sort through them in the interest of persuading people to avoid the bad ones and adopt the good ones. She puts the three changes you cite in different categories. First category is bad. The demise of the nightly household dinner. It is where people bond, as well as where children learn the art of conversation and how to eat without disgusting others. Many overscheduled routines were paused during the pandemic, and she hopes the resulting dinners at home will stay. Now here's the good part. Telephone ringers can easily be turned off now. And we'll even keep track of who called so you can call them back after dinner. Now here's the neutral point of view, neither good nor bad, but right in the middle. Calling between 5 and 7. As you realized, it cannot be assumed that the nation is all at dinner then. Your dear grandmother must have eaten very early. And anyway, it is the callees, not the callers, who can now control when they speak. Please do that. But you can tell your other advisors that even the brief use they suggest to the telephone at dinner time is rude. So would you agree with that? That phone use at dinner time is rude? I think so. When I have kids, there's going to be no cell phones at the table. We're all going to sit down around the dinner table and stare at each other awkwardly. So this is an interesting one. This is going to be from Dear Amy Dickinson. This is a situation called surprise offspring interrupts couple. So what do you think that means? I think that could mean that maybe somebody had a kid a long time ago and didn't know about it. Or maybe they did, who knows? Let's find out. It says, Dear Amy, my good friend just found out that her husband has a grown child he's never known about. Wow. I know. This person was born many years before my friend and her husband even knew each other. He was not in a relationship with the mother of this child. My friend is shattered. She has always been proud of her long-term marriage and their great kids who are all doing very well. Now she believes the reality of her perfect family has been shattered. She can't seem to believe the man she thought she knew could have been with another woman before they were together and had not told her. I have stepchildren that I enjoy, and I like to convince her that this is not the end of the world. I hope she can get back to enjoying her marriage and family. And I guess I'm looking for some insight as to why this is such a big deal for her, and if there is anything I can do to help her. Signed, Worried Friend. That's a tough situation, right? So let's see what Miss Ask Amy has to say. It says, Dear Worried, I sincerely hope that any students returning to camp. Okay. Start over. Dear Worried, I sincerely hope that any students returning to campus might read this letter and understand that today's extracurriculars could result in a multitude of intended consequences. As much as any of us might understand that, in theory, previously unknown relatives might surface at any time when it comes to family relationships. The understanding of theory and the acceptance of reality are two distinct and different experiences. Of course, your friend is thrown off. Anyone would be, but if she truly believes that this makes her own wonderful life a lie, That's a deeper issue. As one partner of a successful long-term marriage, she can be encouraged to see this as one more life challenge to encounter alongside her husband. Surely they have tackled many difficulties, losses, reversals, surprises, and uncertainties together before this. Don't try to convince your friend of anything, but do remind her that this situation, which landed on her doorstep so suddenly, will actually unspool and evolve gradually. She needs to come to an understanding of on her own, that put into a larger perspective, this mainly reveals everyone's humanity. Are she and her husband working through this? With the help of a counselor, you should suggest it. So I think that was good advice, right? You have to look at this as not a burden, but as just another challenge in life. We all go through life with many different challenges. I know everybody here has had many challenges through life. I know I have. And now I look back at some of those challenges, I'm like, I wish I would have had a better look at that mentally, right? Been not so worried about something, or maybe smiled a little bit more. I want everybody to smile right now, as big as you can, smile. There we go. We got the big smiles. Smiles can cure a lot of things.
Yes, it did.
They can. You're feeling a little blue.
No, I feel good.
I know you do. Sometimes I feel a little bit blue, and I have to smile.
That's right.
But I never feel blue when I come in here because I'm with all you.
Yeah, we don't feel blue.
So it is fantastic.
You're so nice. Thank you.
Why, thank you, Miss Cece. Let's see what else we got. Most of this is just horrible news. Let's see. Try to find some good news.
Excuse me, Dee. We have a bus coming in at 3. Would you want Wayne in here, or do you want him to sit in his regular seat out there? This is like 11. Out here?
Yeah. Aaron's gonna take them. All right, so let's look at this. Let's see what we got. We're gonna look at an interesting story about animals. This is about turkeys. Now, this is an section of the newspaper where people write in about different things about animals. And Mr. or Mrs. Joanne Morris, the columnist, she comes back and writes an answer. So the lead article in this is, will wild turkeys explode after eating uncooked rice? It's very strange. I kind of want to find out about this. It says, Dear Joanne, I take noon walks at a local park in Richmond, and sometimes I see piles of uncooked rice that folks have left for the wildlife.
Wow.
Yesterday, I saw some wild turkeys gobbling this stuff up. Sorry for the pun. Get it? They were gobbling this stuff up. Is uncooked rice healthy for birds and other animals to eat? I seem to recall hearing that it was not. Signed, Don from Richmond. Joanne replies, Dear John, there's a reason that you might have heard it was unhealthy, even deadly for wild birds to eat uncooked rice. And while there's no harm in it, people still shouldn't do it. Let's start with the myth. In 1996, advice columnist Ann Landers published a column warning wedding guests against throwing rice at newlywed couples. She said it would be deadly for any birds that ate it. You guys have seen movies where the people get married and they throw rice everywhere, right? And now the bride has rice in her hair. And hopefully it's not raining because then she can eat the rice. It'll cook. So again, let's start with the myth. In 1996, advice column Ann Landers published a column warning wedding guests against throwing rice at a newlywed couple. She said it would be deadly for any birds that ate it. That was enough to start the rumor that birds eating the rice ended up dead in a most tragic manner. Supposedly, the raw rice absorbed water in the bird's stomach, causing it to expand, and boom. Less hysterical people preferred the idea that the expanding rice merely gave the birds full bellies, and they were unable to eat anything else, causing them to starve from full stomachs. Also a very sad story. Neither of these scenarios is true, though. Birds are quite capable of digesting rice. They do it all the time, with migrating water birds feeding at rice paddies along the way. But the damage was already done, and pretty soon, everyone who tossed rice at a recently married couples were cut dead in the reception line, and the practice, silly and strange though it might have been, fell out of favor. So whoever is leaving the rice out for the turkeys isn't physically harming the birds, although they shouldn't be doing it at all. It's against the law to feed wildlife. And I know, I can hear you asking it now. Joanne, there's an entire industry built up around feeding birds in our yards. So why is it illegal and the other isn't? Feeding birds in our backyard is generally considered okay because the feeders don't alter birds' behavior and the birds aren't being lured there for nefarious reasons. The person doing the backyard feeding, however, has to accept responsibility for keeping the feeders clean and prevent the spread of disease. Feeding any bird by hand is never a good idea because it does change the bird's perception of humans and can create an unhealthy association. Leaving food out for wildlife in parks or any other place outside of your own property is taking it a step too far, primarily because it can create a public nuisance. The poor birds that are just trying to eat what is offered could end up injured or killed either by people who don't want them around or by the hazard of developed areas such as dogs or vehicles. So that's a good one. And here's something else about birds that somebody asked. Dear Joanne, do hummingbirds fly over the Gulf to get to Mexico? That's nonstop, right? Signed, John Morrison from Gulf Shores, Alabama. Joanne replies, Dear John, instead of following the shoreline, thousands of migrating ruby-throated hummers fly roughly 500 miles nonstop over the open waters of the Gulf of Mexico. It takes 18 to 22 hours and more dedication than I have to accomplish it. The birds also do it alone, as hummingbirds don't migrate in flocks. Amazing little creatures. That's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. Little hummingbirds, they fly 18 to 22 hours to get over the Gulf of Mexico into Mexico from Alabama. That's a long ways. You know what other kind of animal flies tens of thousands of miles to migrate? Monarch butterflies. Monarch butterflies in Africa fly from South Africa all the way up to Northern Africa into Southern Europe. They fly at 30,000 feet, they get the jet stream and they just go north. Same thing with locust. We all see locust, like a plague of insects just flying in there and eating everything in its sight. In fact, this summer, on the eastern part of the United States, they had cicadas. Now, what are cicadas? Cicadas are a grasshopper that lives in the ground for 17 years. And every 17 years, they come out to do what? Make more grasshoppers. Every 17 years, they come up to find a mate and make more grasshoppers. But imagine living underground for 17 years just to get and see the sun for 24 hours, make some more babies, and then go away. Wow. That's crazy. All right, let's see what else we got. Let's see. We got some good news here.
Yay.
Yeah. lot of stuff in this newspaper.
What paper is that?
This is the East Bay Times. The Costa Contra Times was absorbed into this as well.
I see.
Yeah, because less and less people read newspapers nowadays because of the advent of the internet. But I still like a physical newspaper.
Mhm.
Like I still like reading physical books. Even though I have a Kindle, I don't use it very often because I can't see. So now I'm looking in the sports section. This weekend, the 49ers played at home for the first time with a full crowd in almost 2 years. They played at Levi Stadium in San Jose. But they lost in the fourth quarter. They lost with 1 minute to go, which is sad, but it happens. You win some, you lose some. All right, so now we're going to finish off with our Today in History, and then we're going to read some news of the weird. So first we're going to do Today in History. So what we're going to do is we're going to start today, which is September 27th, and we're going to go back in time, get in the time machine, go back in time to another year and a day of September 27th. So we're going to start with September 27th, 1939. Now this is a history lesson. So again, on this day in 1939, this is from Warsaw, Poland. So Warsaw, Poland surrendered to the invading Nazi forces in Germany and the Soviet Union during World War II. That's a day in history that people should never forget. September 27th, 1964. The government released the report of the Warren Commission. Does anybody know what the Warren Commission was? Robert?
Forget.
The Warren Commission, which concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald had acted alone in assassinating President John F. Kennedy. Yeah. I wasn't alive then, but I know people that were. And that was a very sad thing. Everybody in the world, the United States, was very sad that happened. Because we had a good president, who was no longer. September 27th, 1991. The Senate Judiciary Committee deadlocked at 7-7 on the nomination of Clarence Thomas to the Supreme Court of the United States. So Clarence Thomas became a Supreme Court justice, right? And what was so special about Clarence Thomas becoming a Supreme Court justice? He was the first Black Supreme Court justice in the history of the United States. That's what was so special about that. He's no longer with us, but he set the groundwork for people like Barack Obama. All right, now we're going to get some news of the weird. So this is news that's weird.
That's me.
That's all of us. So the title of this one is News That Sounds Like a Joke. Remember Bernie Sanders looked at the 2021 inauguration? Cozy parka, heavy knitted gloves. The Bernie look is available for Halloween, according to the Boston Globe reported. For just $85, partygoers can don the once again asking costume set from Doll's Kill. It includes the coat, mittens, surgical mask. If fans of Senator Sanders' mittens are looking for a real scare this Halloween, they should see how hard the wealthy and the world's biggest corporations are fighting to stop Congress from filing a K. But this Halloween costume is of one of our senators during the inauguration. It was cold out there. So he was bundled up in a parka, gloves, a big hat, looking very cold. But you would do the same thing, right? We would all be cold. There was no problem with that. You have any birthdays today? The singer Meatloaf is 74.
Meatloaf.
Singer Meatloaf. I know some of you listen to Meatloaf. Robert, you listen to Meatloaf?
What kind of music?
What kind of music was Meatloaf? More like alternative rock and roll? Yeah, alternative rock and roll. He had some good hits. I can't think of them right now. He had some good hits. And for any of you who played the lottery, we have some winning lottery numbers. First, we have the Mega Millions Friday drawing, which is $545 million.
Whoa.
I know. And those numbers are 17, 21, 27, 43, 56. Bingo. What would you do with $554 million? Where would be the first place you travel?
Jamaica.
Jamaica. That's a great place. Go to Jamaica, listen to some reggae, get some jerk chicken. Cuba. I've been to Cuba. I went there when I was 16 years old to play baseball. That was fun. It's a good place, great people, amazing food, even better dancing. Where's another place you would go? We got Jamaica, we got Cuba, what's someplace else? Australia. Oh, see some kangaroos, some dingoes, right? Hawaii, that's a great one.
That's a good one.
Go surfing. If I were to go to Australia, I would want to swim with great white sharks. They have that. You can get in the cage. The sharks hopefully don't get into the cage. Swim with dolphins too. Right? You can talk to dolphins. I've been reading a sci-fi book for the past 5 years, a series of books that I refuse to finish because I like the series so much. And it's about scientists who developed a way to communicate with dolphins. So they built this harness with computers all inside of it that when the dolphins do the little, right, it comes out and translates into our language, which is intriguing. And in this book, it turns out that the dolphins themselves are actually smarter than humans. Yes, they're very smart. They have their own societies, all this stuff. And the dolphins, the humans in this particular world of this book, can't figure out why every single year, all the dolphins in the southern and northern hemisphere all pile at this one place where they mate and they do stuff, whatever they do. They can't figure it out. When they finally did figure it out, they found out that there was some kind of substance leaking from the bottom of the ocean. They went to investigate it, and it was an alien spacecraft with goo coming up that made the dolphins smart. I thought that was interesting. It's a very good book. Well, part of that, there's obviously a clandestine group of people in China, Russia, America that get this substance and want to inject it into humans. So they have one vial of it, and in order to basically save humanity, one of the scientists injects it into his own daughter so nobody else could get it. And what it does is it heightens the daughter's senses of everything. So she can literally, she has telepathy, she can read people's minds, she can see things that aren't there. So if somebody's coming outside, she can know that they're coming. She's got extra strength, extra speed, she's super fast. I mean, crazy. There's something that can do that, but there's always a downside. If something's too good to be true, it probably is. Because there's always a downside, there's risk and reward. I haven't gotten to the downside yet because I refuse to finish it because I like the series so much. It's been 5 years in the making. So I read like every month or so, I read like a chapter. I'm eventually going to finish it. So once again, thank you for joining me today for some fun current events. Again, my name is Diallo. It's a beautiful day outside. Enjoy it. Make somebody smile today, like Cece. It's very celestial. Make somebody smile. All right. Again, my name is Diallo. Thank you for joining me. And away we go.